20, flat right, tightens 4 and left 3, short, into right 4, tightens 3, keep in and left 3, opens, into left 3, opens, long.
Hey, hello, I'm Kråkan, also known as Cornix, and welcome to YACC, yet another Kråkast where I pick a game, I play it for a week, and then I talk about it. This week's game is WRC 6, World Rally Championship, and it was released in 2016, developed by Kråkan and published by Big Band Interactive. But also there will be spoilers up ahead, just so you know. But first, a little backstory. I bought this game, and it's a racing game, for $2. So I'm not a racing fan, maybe for the exception of like Mario Kart, but you know, for that price it's basically for free. So when you first boot up this game, you'll get a couple of questions about driving and your familiarity with like racing games. So it prompts to ask you like, are you proficient at driving games? And I said no. Do you want a professional experience or a fun experience? And of course I want a fun experience, and I set the difficulty to like easy, and then they put you into the tutorial, which is basically how to drive the car. Yeah, that's what the tutorial does. So basically you learn how to use the handbrakes, and you know how to accelerate and turn and all that stuff. But I was determined to like finish the tutorial level. This is like this dirt track in like a desert kind of landscape, and I was determined to finish it, but I was so bad because I don't know how cars behave in real life. I know, like, I played like a couple of like games that are based like have some kind of car physics, but this took everything to a whole new level. So I have to learn how to drive. Because you know, if you're an experienced driver, you kind of know the weight of the car and how much you should accelerate and how to like take a curve and when to brake and when to accelerate and when to pull that handbrake, I guess. But I don't, so I had a very difficult time actually getting into it and learning about this. But I finished the tutorial after like 30 to 40 minutes, and that's kind of stupid, but you know, I was learning as I went on. So when you gone through the tutorial, you get like a couple of options. You can do solo mode, multiplayer, you have leaderboards, and you have event number 1 and event number 2, and those are not selectable from the beginning. Maybe they unlock as you go. I haven't played that far yet. But I did the most stupidest thing you could do. I picked career mode, solo career mode, and I chose a flexible car because I'm not very good at car handling, basically. Because I'm a noob, I'm a beginner, I don't know cars. So there's a lot of stuff to keep track on, but just because I selected like easy as the difficulty, you don't have to really think about like all the, because when you drive the car you can hit rocks and you can get a punctured tire and things that actually happens when you do races in real life and car repairs and whatnot. All the things I had to worry about was the not the tires and the gearboxes and punctured tire, but just the outs, kind of the decorated side of the car, you know, bumps and stuff. That's what the thing I have, like between races you can repair the cars and whatnot. But anyway, I was kicked into the game just starting everything out, and I was like, you can save between the races and stuff, and you can redo if you don't crash, I think. But I was like, you know, I'm just gonna drive through them once, and that's what happened, because you don't get any second chances in real life. So that's how I went about it. So the first tracks were in Portugal. So the first track was in the jungle, and I mean, you learn how to play, and I'm kind of bad at driving anyway. So, and then next was like a mud track, and this game has really good visuals. It looks like photorealistic almost, like when you're driving in these places, and it's kind of beautiful, but you don't have time to focus on the surroundings. You have to like concentrate on the road and everything. And this is one of those things where there's this guy next to you reading the description of the road, like a map reader. So he tells you like, and there's like indications, you get them on top of screen as well, like the turns are dedicated to like colors. So a green turn with a number on it's like it's not a very like a how do you say it, like a sharp turn. So you can actually just full throttle through that, no problem. The next type of curve is a yellow or orange. It's orange. It's orange. And those you kind of have to tap the gas pedal to get some friction and grip. I learned this out by just trying. It's trial and error basically. I flew off the track a couple of times because I didn't pay attention to what he was saying. But anyway, in the last kind of it's the sharpest turn. It's the red turn, and often when it's a red turn, it's like almost sometimes it's some kind of roads like almost like a 90-degree turn, but you have like so little time to like react, and you have like if there's like an exclamation mark like the sign and he says brake, the cart reader, the guy to your right says like brake, you brake. You don't even ask questions, you just do it, because otherwise you fly off a high end of a cliff or something, or into the bushes, and you will lose. And every time you drive off the track or into like obstacles and stuff, you lose a bit of time. And more often than not, it's actually like better to reset the car and get some extra kind of penalty time. I think you press square to reset the car, because sometimes you wind up behind rocks and stuff, you can't really back up. So yeah. So anyway, and some other tracks you go to Poland, and I can't even pronounce these names, and you drive through like the polished landscapes, which actually is really, really beautiful. And if they are as beautiful in game as they are in real life, that I kind of want to go to Poland now. It's kind of a nice landscape, a bit like Sweden, but there's some differences. But there's one thing I forgot to tell about. Even every kind of obstacle, they have like 5 or 6 tracks, and one of those tracks is always a night track. And the night tracks are terrible. You can't see anything, and you have to be completely dependent on your map reader, because the guy next to you. Otherwise you are basically fucked. So I hate those levels when they come up. So so Poland is like, they have one of those night tracks as well. And then you go to Finland, and also very, very nice like landscapes. And this is one of the complaints I got about this. There was one track which everything went really, really smooth for me. I never like got first on anything. I always ended up last because I suck at driving cars. So I drove through the whole obstacle without crashing, and at a bit before like finish line or something, or some of the curves before the finish line, I actually went out right into the bushes, and I got 9-second penalty. I was like, whatever, this is the best race I ever done, and I pedaled to the metal into the goal. That was perfect. And I got last place, and I don't know, I selected the easiest setting. Well, not easy, but I think like simulated is the easiest, and then you have easy basically. And I selected like just have fun instead of professional, so it wasn't fun and it wasn't easy, and I was super pissed. I was like, why? I mean, in real car races, actual drivers actually drive off the road and they have engine troubles. But no, I was always at the bottom of that list. Like, there are 11 contestants, and I was always at the bottom. It's kind of stupid, So gameplay. The career mode is basically to win all the races and get first in every one of them. Basically a racing career. That's what you do. And along the way, you change tires, and you kind of go through all these kind of hurdles to actually win. And I think like this could be like a game to play over a long time and kind of retry tracks over and over again and actually learn how to play. Then this game might actually be fun. But I only had like a week, and I'm not that interested in cars, but I'm rambling. Control. R2 accelerate. Circle is the handbrake. L2 is reverse and backing up. And L1 is lights, and there are some other kind of buttons, but they're not used. So I don't really brake. I use the handbrake for all the turns. Maybe that's wrong, but I found that to be the most efficient way to kind of take these sharp turns. So graphics. The game looks really good, and it's one of those, as I said before, like photorealistic kind of things. I mean, if you look at the rocks and the trees are probably moving in the wind and the sun. And there was one of those things I went in later into like one of the menus. You select like a solo track, I choose Sweden, of course, because I was curious. I didn't get that far into the campaign, like the career mode, but I selected Karlstad, which is one of the Swedish cities, and I selected winter track and middle of the night and snowstorm. You couldn't see anything, and I thought that's cool. And there were none, if not any, frame drops. It actually looks really good, and I'm gonna get into that later, but the sound of the cars. So sound and music. The sounds are actually really good, like how the engines roar, and when it has that sound, I don't know what it is, but when they accelerate and the engine kind of pops when they shift gears and stuff, and the engine, I have to like turn down the volume because it was so high, but it's realistic for what it is. So in conclusion, I wrote no. I suck at driving games. Basically, I picked easy and the option to like just want to have fun, but it wasn't fun to play. It's like one of those things, I'm not a driver. I like Mario Kart, I like Grand Theft Auto. Those kind of games are not that heavy on driving. It's more about the fun aspect. Some cars in GTA, for instance, like the newer games, they handle differently. Some are heavy, some are easier on the handling. But when you're supposed to have this option of picking and playing something, which option is fun and easy, and it isn't easy and it isn't fun, then it's not, for me. I suck at driving, so that's the only point, I guess. So I can't really recommend this game, but if you're into driving and stuff, you pick this game up because it's said to be very realistic. So I went online and looked at other reviews because there must be someone who's like hate on this game, but there's very few that actually does. But the funny thing is like when they they show like footage from their career mode, they careen and go off the stages like all the time and they miss turns, but they still kind of praise the game because it's a little bit different from like the Need for Speeds and Colin McRae Rally and those other types of games. But that's just their pick, I guess. I'm not a driving fan, but for a game that costs as much as a small ice cream cone, it's worth it, all the little pennies, I guess. So anyway, thanks for listening and watching, and take care.